Mr. Adams?
Present.
Mr. Groh is absent. Mr. Melvin? He's here.
He was.
Okay, well, he would be absent right now. Chairman Wendell?
Here.
Mr. Arabi? Here. Ms. Dotan? Here. Mrs. Chasson? Mr. Lorraine? President Chasson.
If everyone would please rise, our invocation will be led by Mr. Lorraine, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Mr. Adams.
We'll just say the All Father. All Father.
Who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, on behalf of the council, I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's meeting. Public comment will be offered on each ordinance presented for ratification. If you wish to address the council on a resolution or any other topic, please fill out a blue public wishing to address the council form located by the exit door and turn it to the council clerk prior to the public wishing to address the council agenda item. We'll move into item A, approval of minutes. Item number 1, motion to accept the minutes of the September 27, 2022 regular session. Motion by Mr. Adams, second by Mr. Jones. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes with 7 yeas, 0 nays, and 2 absences, being Mr. Groh and Mr. Melvin. Item B, state and/or federal legislative updates. We have none. Item C, Lafourche Parish Outstanding Citizen, and we do have 2 tonight. This first one was sent in by our community action group for Lafourche Parish government. The promise of community action changes people's lives, embodies the spirit of hope, improves communities, and makes America a better place to live. We care about the entire community, and we are dedicated to helping people help themselves and each other. On tonight's recipient of the award, on March 28, 2022, Mr. Jose Aguilar came to the Office of Community Action. Mr. Aguilar stated he was trying his best to better himself and get an education. He came with documents from Fletcher Technical Community College to show he wanted to obtain his CDL. Mr. Aguilar met with the Community Services Block Grant qualifications, therefore he qualified for tuition assistance. Mr. Aguilar completed his schooling, received his CDL, gained employment, and is now living way above the federal poverty guidelines and no longer qualifies for OCA services. Mr. Aguilar's employer describes him as being the most dependable employee on the books and is always there when they need someone. His employer proceeded to say he deserves the award. We are proud to honor Mr. Aguilar with the Lafourche Parish Outstanding Citizen Award, and I will have Ms. Amanda Matisse from Community Action and Mr. Jerry Jones present that to him. And let the record show that Mr. Melvin entered the chambers at 5:02 p.m., please. Thank you, Mr. Aguilar, and job well done, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Joe.
Mr. Aguilar, I want to thank you, congratulations personally. This is what the council, Lafourche Parish government, and myself been looking for community action for many years. And you is a living proof that you is overcome of poverty and doing it on your own. So again, we congratulate you from this council. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Aguilar, you can come up to the microphone. Just state your name and address, and you can address the room.
Right here?
Right, yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Jose Aguilar. I want to thank everybody in Community Action for helping me with my tuition when I most needed it. Definitely made a difference in my career, and I just want to say thank you once again.
Thank you, sir. Okay, the next Lafourche Parish Outstanding Citizen Award is presented to an organization that is near and dear to a lot of Lafourche Parish residents. This organization is a little over 2 years old and was created by local residents who have big hearts and felt the need to fill gaps in the community. Jerez Jarou, the president of Bless Your Heart nonprofit, has challenged others to use your powers for good, to go out and do and get involved, and consistently reminds the supporters, contributors, and volunteers that you can do hard things. This is exactly what the organization has done. The mission of Bless Your Heart is to enrich lives and inspire people. In the past, this group has assisted with benefits for residents of Lafourche. Through the awesome contributor and support network, Bless Your Heart nonprofit raised just over $1,102,000 and tons of supplies following Hurricane Ida that devastated Lafourche in 2021. This organization redistributed the monies and supplies to Lafourche, making it possible to provide housing for 16 families, provided school uniforms and name-brand shoes for countless school-age children, fed the hungry, cared for widows, brought water to the thirsty, hugged the crying, and brought hope to the hopeless. Ordinary people helping ordinary people in need. Before I share a short story about how this group has professionally assisted me, our communications director, Robbie Lee, has a short 2-minute video of some of the accomplishments of this group.
To the order for a mandatory evacuation beginning at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. Probably not the easiest decision necessary as a group to help keep everybody safe. We don't anticipate any huge swings in the trend.
Thank you, Robbie. A few months ago, I was called out to a house fire in Desalmans through my police social service work with the sheriff's office. An elderly veteran was living in leveled the other half. The remainder of the mobile home had been destroyed by an electrical fire, leaving the gentleman homeless. After I secured emergency shelter for the night for the gentleman through Red Cross and helped him salvage what little could be salvaged, I contacted Ross Jumbo with Bless Your Heart. I asked him if services were limited to South Lafourche or if outreach was for the entire parish. After explaining the circumstances, Ross pledged that Bless Your Heart would assist, although the extent was not certain. Through a collaborative effort between several organizations and volunteers of Bless Your Heart, immediate assistance of food, clothing, extended hotel stay was made possible for this gentleman so he wouldn't be on the street. This is where the one Lafourche comes in. Lafourche Parish Government, Community Action, Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office, American Red Cross, South Louisiana Veterans Outreach, and Bless Your Heart volunteers and supporters were able to intervene and provide immediate assistance. Bless Your Heart didn't stop there. The organization made it possible through their networking of supporters for the gentleman to receive a used camper to call home with all of the supplies needed to start over. Life-changing assistance for an aged veteran on a fixed income who would have been homeless. Jure has also been quoted as saying, "God doesn't call the equipped, He equips the called." It is my privilege to recognize the hard work and ongoing extraordinary efforts of this group, their supporters and volunteers, and name Bless Your Heart nonprofit as Lafourche Parish Outstanding Citizens. Okay, before you guys come up, I will ask Mr. Lorraine and Ms. Chasson to join me in presenting this honor to the group because they originate down in their areas. But before we head down, I just want to mention that this group continues to bless Lafourche Parish with ongoing efforts. They're also involved in collecting supplies to send to our neighbors affected by Hurricane Ian in Florida, and we'll be holding a community volunteer day on Saturday, October 22nd, 2022, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. This Community Volunteer Day is where volunteers in the community will be paired with residents who need assistance to address needs related to housing repairs or cleanup. While the trio of us are making our way down, President Chasson will read a proclamation designating Saturday, October 22nd, 2022 as Bless Your Heart Community Volunteer Day in Lafourche Parish, and will then join us to present his proclamation to the group as well. Mr. President?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Whereas Bless Your Heart nonprofit is a volunteer-based organization established to ensure no one or family feels alone in their time of need and gets the help they deserve. And whereas Bless Your Heart nonprofit's mission is to enrich the lives, inspire hope by addressing social, educational, and financial needs in the Bayou region. And whereas Bless Your Heart nonprofit provides a connection between the people that want to help and the people that need help. And whereas Bless Your Heart nonprofit has helped thousands of people, whether it be supporting them emotionally, monetarily, or physically, most recently during the aftermath of Hurricane Ida. And now therefore, I, Archie Chasson, Parish President of Lafourche, do hereby proclaim October 22nd as Bless Your Heart Nonprofit Community Volunteer Day.
My name's Ross Jambon, 283 Octavia Street in La Rose, actually in your district. No, just representing Bless Your Heart, we want to thank you guys for recognizing the work that we do and that we strive to do. Our main goal is to promote and enrich the lives of the people in Lafourche Parish, as well as the Bayou community, as Terrebonne and Grand Isle. We try to touch everybody's lives that we can, so we just appreciate you guys recognizing that and awarding us with that.
Now, Ross, everybody has something to contribute. So if there's someone watching who wants to get involved in your volunteer day, someone who wants to become a part of your organization, how can they contact you guys?
Yeah, so they can find us on Facebook at blessyourheart.com, Bless Your Heart Nonprofit, or go to www.blessyourheartnonprofit.com. They'll have a sign-up page that Brandon Mathern's actually working on right now, and they'll be able to sign up, and we're going to be meeting up at our new building in the South Lafourche community, and we're going to be going out and working on different houses on October 22nd.
Yeah, it's something. No? Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, item D, certificate of recognition. Parish President Archie Chasson III to present a certificate of recognition to the former Chief Judge John E. Leblanc for his service as District Judge, Division A. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. John E. Leblanc was born and raised in Thibodaux, Louisiana, and attended and graduated from E.D. White Catholic High School in 1977. He continued his undergraduate degree studies at Louisiana State University, graduating in 1981. Attorney Johnny Leblanc earned his Juris Doctorate in 1985 from LSU's Paul M. Hebert Law Center and went on to practice law with his father, Charles Leblanc, and then served as a public defender from 1990 to 1998. Judge Johnny Leblanc was sworn in on December 10th, 1998, after being elected to serve as District Judge of Division A of the 17th Judicial District Court. Running for re-election without opposition, he has held this seat ever since. Judge LeBlanc presided over the 17th JDC Drug Treatment Court from 2000 to 2003 and served as Chief Judge of the district from 2009 to 2021. Now, therefore, I, on this 11th day of October 2022, do want to recognize Judge LeBlanc for his years of dedicated service to Lafourche. I've served with him as Chief Judge over, I guess, 2 administrations. It only took us 2.5 years to find the key to the parish, and as old as this thing is, I'm pretty sure it'll unlock the courthouse if you ever want to go back, Judge. So congratulations.
You like me? Trying to put glasses on. Come on up, Judge. Need you to raise your right hand.
You wish. First of all, I'm John LeBlanc, Thibodaux, Louisiana. That's as far as you're going to get with my address, for obvious reasons. But I want to thank Archie for thinking about me and doing this. As he said, he and I have worked together for a long time because he started back when he was a kid. I didn't get into this job to have this kind of recognition. I had an opportunity to run for judge in 1998, and I knew I had to work hard, and I did everything I could possibly do to get elected. Once I was elected, I committed to being fair and impartial to everybody who came into my courtroom, and I committed to working for the people of Lafourche Parish to serve them. And I had an opportunity to serve them as a drug court judge. I had an opportunity to serve them as the chief judge, which again brought me back to Archie. And Daniel was around at the beginning before me, and he's here, appropriately enough, he's here after me. Jerry's been around most of my time. Many of you I don't know, which is a good thing, they say. But I know Lisa's here, my first law clerk, Lisa Orgeron. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. I think you were here, but not because of this, though, because of her job requirements. But it's been a good feeling. I don't mean to turn my back on people. I never do that. And the good thing about being a judge is you're always facing the people that come into your courtroom. You got to look them in the eye, and you got to be there for them. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Judge. All right, item E, presentations and/or updates. Item number 3, Parish President to recognize LPG Employee of the Month and/or WOW employees for the month of September. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Our Employee of the Month tonight, this nomination came from actually the guy who was has been embedded with us for 7 or 8 months now doing FEMA direct housing. And faced with the unknowns of how that housing mission was going to work out, as one of the most devastated parishes, this employee served in a very superb manner, never wavering from trying to accomplish the mission. She served as a front runner for the initiation of permits, inspections, and utility installs with the information she was provided. This allowed the parish to become first in the many aspects of tracking paperwork, permit requests, utility coordination, and actually getting the housing units installed for our residents in Lafourche Parish. And because of the things that this employee came up with, they have taken what we have developed here in Lafourche Parish, and it's become a best practice for FEMA in future housing missions. So with that said, she has done a great job in this, and we are very proud to recognize Ms. Melanie Gwen tonight for all her hard work during that housing mission.
Yes, sir. Probably need something hanging on the wall somewhere. Or do it right here in the front, with everybody in the background. All right, still under presentations and or updates, we have a presentation by Parish President Shessel. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm gonna pull a Mr. Baroni and come down here because I think it's gonna be easier. So you guys are gonna see and have seen, based on the summary we sent you guys before the council meetings, the tax reform language that we have been talking about for several meetings now, and what that plan that's happened has drifted forward. So many of you know, and I'm gonna go into a little bit of depth because the public is gonna see this over and over again, and we want them to know how this got started. So the first council meeting of this term, the council approved a contract with Dr. Jim Richardson from LSU. Dr. Richardson has served on the state's revenue estimating conference for probably longer than I've been alive, developing tax policy and budget strategy for the legislature. When we hired him, we created a steering committee of sorts that was made up of small business owners from across Lafourche. The chambers were both represented by their presidents. Councilman Otan and Councilman Groh made a couple of the meetings as they could with their work schedule. The mayors were represented by Mayor Tommy Eshte. The three of them got together and decided he would be the best one. Our school board superintendent, who's here tonight, was involved, as well as our sheriff, the assessor, and a whole host of other board members from both of the chambers. So through COVID, all the hurricanes of 2020, and then of course Ida 2022, we've been working on this, and the committee convened shortly before the start of this year, and kind of came up with and looked at the 4 recommendations that Dr. Richardson came up with. So the first 2 of those options were to raise taxes or do nothing. So of course those 2 went automatically out of the window because we weren't going to do that. We wanted to make sure that what we were going to do was going to be in most cases revenue neutral, or actually save the taxpayer some money on the back end. Options 3 and 4 were really how big of a bite of the apple did we want to take, right? We have 64 boards and commissions in Lafourche, probably half of which have some sort of taxing authority. So it was how big of a bite do you want to take? So what the committee came up with was taking a very small bite of the apple, showing the public that what the plan was going to look like, how it was going to save them money, what we were going to do with the money post approval by the voters, and in building that trust, because inherently as politicians we are distrusted, right? One of the reasons we wanted to bring Dr. Richardson in with a steering committee is I didn't just want this to be something that we came up with as an administration or as the parish president trying to gig this down people's throats. So as you guys know, on the ad valorem side, I'm gonna start out with the property tax and how we're gonna work this reform. So as you guys know, for roads and bridges and drainage, there are 5 different millages across the board, right? We have 2 independent drainage districts in Drainage District number 5, which is the 6th Ward, parts of North Lafourche, Drainage District number 1, which is of course St. Anthony Street here in Raceland, on down south. And then you have the parish-wide propositions, right? So we collect the parish-wide drainage millage, we collect the parish-wide road millage, which is an old road district from years ago, and then we have part of a consolidated millage that's roped in with the libraries and the health unit. So our plan would actually take all 5 of those, we would delete or conform the 2 existing drainage districts and do away with them, and then we would collect 1 new 8 mil property tax, so it would go into public works operations. It would still fund everything we're doing now, roads, bridges, and salaries. So on the ad valorem side, what people need to understand is that those monies that are collected go into paying for the employees who are in the field, the men and women who work for us, who dig your ditches, cut your grass. It has some operational, we pay for fuel, pump repair, stuff like that out of it. But a vast majority of that does not pay for actual projects. That's gonna come on the sales tax side. So with that, we're gonna look at 3 different scenarios, right? So if you live outside of one of those 2 drainage districts, just in a vast majority of the parish, which is really going to be a lot of Councilman Melvin's district, the St. Charles community, places like Bayou Blue, Pointe-au-Chien, things like that. You can see the overall savings. So if we take those residents on their tax bill, on their property tax bill they get from the sheriff every year that we work with Wendy on, you're gonna see the savings per house, right? So we ran a few different options. We ran the median house, right, which is house number 1. We ran house number 2 is the house that's barely homestead exempt, right? Really just over that $75,000 threshold. And then we ran your more kind of upscale house, the $350,000, $400,000 version of homes that we have in Lafourche today. And you could see those savings on a year-to-year basis, which means a month-to-month savings on your mortgage, because a lot of us pay our property taxes through escrow. If you look at the business side, you can see a much sharper decline when you look at the Dollar General, Atmos, and then Gibbons and Lafourche. We used the business names so you guys could see how it would relate to people. We did not use people's names on the houses because I didn't think people would appreciate us putting their names on the screen. If you look at people who live in Drainage District number 1, we would take those residents from 10.83 mils down to 8. And again, you can see the savings on the average house, the house that's barely homestead exempt, and then your bigger, larger home in this particular area. And then you can see, again, the impact on businesses. The key to point out in all of these slides you're gonna see is it's always a reduction, right? We are gonna save the taxpayer money at the end of the day while doing this and still provide the same level of service that they're getting now. And we'll go up to Drainage District number 5. These are more sharp because we're taking them from almost down by half. You're taking them from 14 mils down to 8 mils, right? And you can see the savings on the homes and then the savings on the businesses. The one thing that's not included in this presentation that we didn't add a slide for is the offshore vessels. So you guys heard a lot about those at our last council meeting when you guys acted as the board of review. The average savings for an offshore vessel is gonna be about $15,000 per boat. So when you look at what the assessor has on her tax roll as far as offshore watercraft type vessels, we're talking about a $10 million decrease to those companies and those businesses in taxes. What that also means is that at the end of the year, as you guys know, those vessel operators get those dollars back in the form of tax credits from the state. That's $10 million we're saving the state in their budget year that can go back into K through 12 education, higher education, healthcare, capital outlay projects. And at some point, we're gonna have to face the dance of, does that scheme of them getting that money back at the end of every year continue? We all know it's not a sustainable option, right? We've talked about this for years in Lafourche, but we've never really addressed it, right? This is the first step to addressing it, right? If we can lower that tax burden on the businesses initially, that's great for them, but if we can lower the burden on the state, that's even better. So you can see those average savings for residents and businesses parish-wide as we look at just a holistic effort. So this is what that proposition is gonna look like. So that's the ad valorem side of the house is gonna take 2 different propositions. Proposition 1 is actually gonna be to take that current 5.41 mil property tax and reduce it by that 1.64 that I showed you on that first slide. And then that remaining 3.64 would be divvied up the same way it is now, with going to public health purposes, and then of course the library retains their portion of that consolidation tax. The second proposition would be to levy the new 8 mil property tax and create that new fund across Lafourche. So let me get into the road tax side. So as you guys know, and as my favorite councilman has alluded many, many times in these meetings, we have 2 different road districts in Lafourche. We collect a penny north of the High Lines in Valentine, and you collect a half a penny on the south end. Our proposition would be to go with a half a penny parish-wide. We have given the mayors of Thibodaux and Lockport the opportunity to join in on this because they are not currently in on that. There is no indication. I think Lockport is very highly considering it. The one issue that we run into in the last couple of weeks is, if we add that extra half a penny to both Lockport and Thibodaux, does that cause them to break that 5% cap? And if it does, there may be an extra step that we have to go through the legislature with to allow them to join. And we're gonna address that with them over the course of the next couple of weeks, should they decide to join in on that. So that's gonna be proposition number 3. Should the voters approve to create the new road district and levy a half a penny parish-wide? You guys, the last council meeting agreed to create that new district, so the money would have some place to go should it pass the voters. But we're gonna hopefully vote to create that new half a penny parish-wide. So here's the other part of it, and this is kind of where our friends at the school board fit in. So right now, we currently collect 7/10 of a penny parish-wide for solid waste, which includes, our twice-a-week garbage pickup, as well as all of the nuisance fees and the nuisance cases, tall grass, derelict buildings, that sort of thing. So in our reform package, we would take it down to 3/10 of a penny. We would move, that would still generate us about $4.5 million a year to take care of the nuisance cases, and anything else that would come through solid waste, like household hazardous collection days, stuff like that. We would go back, like many parishes do around us, including St. Charles and St. James and Terrebonne and go to a user fee. So you would see that $16 a month pop up on your water bill once a month. And then that would allow the school board, through a separate proposition, to pick up that other 4/10 of a penny and allow them to do teacher pay with it, right? So that's what that proposition would look like, is do we reduce the overall tax to 3/10 of a penny? And then, again, you'll see in a second the other proposition for the school board. So this is where they fit into the equation, right? So if you look at a school system and you look in the surrounding areas, and Superintendent Martin and Dean have done a good job with the slide showing where we fall in comparison to other people as far as tax rates, how many millages we collect total in the parish, and then what that goes to school districts to fund. And you will see that we are by far not the highest in any state of that category, whether we're talking sales or property taxes. You will also see that when you look at what other parishes pay per pupil for students and what that assessed value is. So if you look at Lafourche, we collect 1 mill parish-wide generates about $967,000. And we have about 14,000 students out of a population of 97,000 people. Go up a couple of numbers and look how much those other school districts are paying per pupil, or how much they generate per mill, and how many less pupils they have than we do. And you can understand why, when you go to some of the other surrounding parishes, they can pay their teachers a whole lot more money, right? So currently we are number 6 out of the region, right? When it comes to starting teacher pay, what that teacher looks like in year 10, and then what that teacher looks like in year 20, as they're probably considering retirement when they get to that point, and what their drop situation is gonna look like. So with that 4/10 of a penny that we're gonna roll off, that we would allow the school board to pick up, they're gonna generate about $8.9 million parish-wide, right? That will be a parish-wide tax, including the city of Thibodaux and the town of Lockport. The town of Lockport is already paying into the solid waste sales tax. The city of Thibodaux will then join in on it and pay that 4/10 of a penny, so they're paying their fair share of teacher pay as well. So that's what their proposition would look like, right? Do you authorize the school board to pick up the 4/10 of a penny that we're rolling out? It's not gonna be a new sales tax, because that previous proposition I showed you is actually the reduction. It's just allowing them to pick it up. Those two propositions on the ballot are the only two that are contingent upon one another. The voters have to vote for us to reduce it to allow the school board to pick it up. And then as well, the school board sat down within their own internal budget and said, all right, how can we put some skin in the game as well? So as the superintendent will tell you, they collect 4 mills for safety, which goes to paying SROs, dealing with staff and cyberbullying and student-related services, and single point of entry programs. So if you've been to a school lately, you can only go in one door, right? The days of when a lot of us were in school and we could walk in the schoolyard free range are pretty well over. All of those projects are now coming to a completion. So the school board does not need 4 mills every year to go to school safety. They'll need a portion of that to continue to pay for school resource officers, the bullying, the cyberbullying, and all those services they already do. So they're gonna use the overage that they don't need to put some skin in the game to help to pay for those teacher pay raises as well. So you combine that millage reconsolidation with the sales tax pickup, and you can see what that does to a starting pay of a teacher in year 10 and a teacher in year 20, and it moves us from the very bottom to the middle of the pack. Makes us very competitive. And if you've driven through Thibodaux lately, you've seen the billboard from Ascension or Assumption, I forget which one it is, both, where they're advertising openly for our teachers to go work for them and what they can pay them. So that's a problem when it comes to educating our children, our grandchildren. So over the course of the last couple of weeks, you guys heard us talk about this in our one-on-one budget meetings with you all, and there have been a ton of rumors that have come out over the last probably month or so since we've begun to kind of put this out in the public. So we're gonna debunk a couple of them, right? So rumor 1, right? All of the tax dollars are gonna go from South Lafourche to North Lafourche. So if you look at that graphic on the right, you will see that currently in Road Sales Tax District A, or 2, you collect about $3.6 million a year. If we roll a half a penny in North Lafourche in Road A, you'll collect about $3.4 million. That's only a difference of $144,000, $5,000. So the tax base really isn't down to buy you. There's no need to move that money north because it's already there. If you add the city of Thibodaux into that number, you generate an additional $2 million. What does that tell you? Where's your tax base now? It's going into North Lafourche. We've seen it. We've seen the population shift from south to north. We've seen the home explosion in the west side of Thibodaux, in the unincorporated areas of the city of Thibodaux. So we know that's where the population is headed. And then in 2012, the parish bonded out about $20 million to do road work in Road Sales Tax District A. So there are no more shell roads. There are no more, other than maybe Choctaw Road, Tibu. There are no roads that are truly substandard. So there is no reason to pull a whole bunch of money from South Lafourche and send it to North. And look, let's face it, guys, at the way the bridges break, a bulk of the money is gonna stay down the by because we gotta keep them up and running, right? All right, rumor number 2. Let's just wait 5 more years until the taxes expire and deal with it then. So what does waiting 5 more years mean to the taxpayer? That's $34 million in additional taxes in solid waste. That's $17 million in additional taxes for roads. And that's $54 million in additional taxes on watercraft in Lafourche Parish. So in today's world of inflation and everything we're seeing in our economy, if you guys want to go ahead and tax our citizens at a higher rate, then that's fine and dandy. Don't vote for the propositions next week to send under the ballot, right? But we need to do this. We have a very toxic tax structure in Lafourche Parish. And if Christie's going to be able to continue to do her job and do what we're doing and see what we're seeing, there was a huge of an announcement today about John Deere and Thibodaux expanding and creating a whole bunch of new jobs and making a brand new piece of equipment right here in Thibodaux, Louisiana. If we're going to continue to be able to pull off things like that, we have to do things like this. Because if we don't, guess what? Those businesses are not going to come here. They're not going to continue to want to locate here because we're not going to be able to educate our kids and give them quality employees on the back end. And they're not going to be able to survive here from a taxing structure. That's why we're doing this. So rumor number 3, the school board doesn't dig ditches for the parish. Let them worry about their own budget. We have 330 reasons to worry about that. You know why? Because if you come work for us, you have to have at least a high school education. And in today's increasing technology world and pieces of equipment that we're using, for the first time we're using laser levels and survey equipment to dig ditches so we make sure the water goes the right way. You can't just do that the old way we used to do it, where you put a guy in a machine and you let him chase the water as he digs the ditch down the street. It doesn't work anymore, right? I have 2 very specific reasons. It's my 2 kids who are in public school system. You guys all have children or grandchildren who have gone through our public school system. So if we're not going to help our teachers and we're not going to put some skin in the game and help them, then again, why are people going to want to come here and live here if we can't provide quality education for our students? Rumor number 4, why don't you just kill it at a vote and not let it go to the people, right? Why even vote on it? Well, that's why you send it to the ballot. That's why you send it to the ballot, ladies and gentlemen. You know, we have talked about this in Lafourche Parish for 20 years. You've had 2 different blue ribbon committees say we should do stuff like this, and you finally have a majority of the council and an administration that finally has the stones to tackle this. Because what normally happens, right? We throw this up in the air, we see if it sticks, somebody starts to bark and complain, and then nobody has the gall to keep pushing forward, right? I'm not asking you to support it. I would love for you to go to the ballot box in March when this goes to the voters and vote yes for it and save our businesses and our residents some money. But we all owe it to the voters to at least send it to them. So when it comes up to vote next week, I'd ask you to support it and send it to the people and let them decide whether or not they truly want to see this parish grow and how we do it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Mr. Lurie.
You keep saying you're going to take a little bite of the apple.
Yeah.
So when you take 3 little bites of the apple, you didn't eat the apple. And I'm going to touch on road sales tax too. I'd like to touch on all of them, but I'll be brief. Road sales tax 2 passed. The power lines a mile and a half before you get to the Valentine Bridge has been the boundaries for 25 years. Never had a problem. If you change that boundary line, road sales tax 2, the power line south, don't have control of it anymore. You, as parish president, or whoever's parish president, controls road sales tax 2. You control road sales tax A, which is the power lines north. The difference is, north, Thibodaux, and Lockport was never in it. And they were doing a penny all these years. South, we got a half a penny for the last 20 years. And we included gold and metal. That's how they got their streets fixed. So all them people, Mr. Orman's district, which goes to the intercoastal from the power line, he probably has more streets there than I have in my entire district. So it's been working for 25 years. The tax call was for 20 years. You got 5 years left. Leave it alone. In 5 years from now, whoever's sitting up here, whether it's me or whoever, then you tackle it. You don't change the game in the middle of the game.
So what you're
Let
saying?
me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me finish. So that's gonna be that one. He's saying Thibodeau might come in. Thibodeau will not come in. They did not come in for the garbage tax parish-wide. They're big enough to take care of their own. I'm talking about the city. There's some outskirts. So they're not coming in. And the mayor, I heard the mayor said that he's gonna leave it up to the new mayor, which the new mayor don't take over till January the 1st. So Lockport, they should have been in a long time ago. Golometa just hit it lucky. They hit it on we had a 10-year tax, and when it came up for renewal, it was 20 years, and that's when we got them in. Lockport didn't get in. And what protects the people of road sales tax too, I'm gonna say it again, is them power lines. Once you take that boundary away, dude, we may never get a street done south of them power lines. You can't tell me we will, you can't tell me, maybe we won't. Probably not. It's a money grab. That's all it is. It's a money grab for 6 councilmen sitting up here and the parish president. And I did say at that state legislature, let him go to the voters, sure. But it's a different situation here. You digging in a pot of money that we created, and I was the leader on that, and I don't appreciate you coming and cutting it 5 years, because we know what you're after, okay? So the solid waste one, we passed a 1-cent sales tax.
Again, is there a question, or are you gonna give me a history lesson again?
No, I'm just going to tell you what happened.
I've heard it 17 times from you,
We've passed a
Daniel.
1-cent sales tax, October the 20th, 1986, perpetuous. It passed. We took it off the water bill because it was nothing but trouble. We had a millage, a property tax, and the people had to pay so much a month on the water bill. Go check with the water district, see if they want to handle that. I can guarantee you they don't want to handle that. None of the board members wants it, because I already checked with them. Why should they take the rap for what the parish does? Because if you don't pay your sewage, your garbage, they're going to take their money for the water. They don't care about the garbage. A sales tax is the fairest tax that they have. Now, you disagree with that.
I do.
But you're wrong. Why you think Saint Lafourche, and this is not just Saint Lafourche, the road sales tax still, always generates a lot of money? Because when Fouchon is kicking, you got a lot of people coming from all over the United States, coming to work, spending money. That's why. And getting back to the garbage tax, when Steve Wilson became parish president, we had about a $10–12 million surplus. He wanted to use that for roads. So they put it on the ballot. You know what the people said? Not no, but hell no. They voted it down because it was for garbage. So here we come back in 1997, Mr. Cayouette, his plan, we rolled back 7/10 from the penny. 7/10. You know why? Because they attempted to pass a parish-wide road tax for a penny, and they were telling the people, you're only going to pay 7/10 because we took 3/10 off. The people voted that down anyway. They didn't want it. I keep telling y'all, 5 times they voted down a parish-wide tax. 5 times. And it's going to be 6 times when we get through with this. So what happened?
So again, do you have a question, or are we gonna get a history?
No, let me finish. This is important. You got to hear 2 sides to the story.
Yeah.
Not just one side, 2 sides, like Mr. Adams said. In 1997, we rolled it to 7/10. We had a $22 million surplus. It played out in 20 years. And when things got bad, we tried to get back that 3/10 that the people had already voted on. And the legislature, because you had some councilmen, not this bunch, but another bunch, went up there and said, tell them that the people has to vote on it when they already voted for the penny. We were asking to bring it back to a penny, not over a penny. That was already voted on by the people. They said we had to go for a vote. You know what the people did? They voted it down. So I learned the lesson. When you're gonna cut taxes, be careful. You may never get them back. And that's what happened there. And I'd love for all the teachers to get a raise tomorrow. But I think they have a superintendent. They have an election for school board coming up. I think we're voting on a school board member pretty soon. So let them take care of their own finances. That's what they got a superintendent for and a school. You know who needs some help right now?
So are you for or against pay raises for our teachers, Ms. Lorraine? You
For the
saying our teachers don't need a pay
I'm
raise?
undecided right now.
Okay, just checking.
But let me tell you this. What about the elderly people that get $400-500 a month with the inflation? You think they can make it? I don't know how some of these people make it. I'm sure the firemen want a raise. I'm sure the police officers want a raise. I'm sure everybody wants a raise. Nobody makes enough money. But I can tell you, all of these proposals are new taxes. Whether you cut them, whatever you want to do, they're new taxes. And you go ahead and try to pass a new tax today, and you're going to see what's going to happen. And I'm interested to see if Thibodeau is going to come in on that road tax. I know Lockport will, but I don't know about Thibodeau. That's the kicker. Now, there's a lot of outskirts over there, okay? That's why that boundary protects all these people here. You're in charge of both districts. What's your reasoning for putting it together?
So, Ms. Lorraine, I will tell you that for a lot of years, I thought you just screamed at the rain because you didn't get it, right?
Nope.
But you are interested in this for two reasons and two reasons alone. To make people afraid of it and then to tell them who's to blame for it, right? You know why? You know why I'm doing this, Ms. Lorraine? Because 67% of the population elected me to this office and we campaigned on this platform. So it resonated. It resonated. People said it was time to do this, right? That's not just a 52-48 or a 51-49. 67% of the population. And Mr. Lorraine, did you realize you're really good at going back to 1986 and 1996? Do you realize that 52% of the population of this parish wasn't even alive in 1986 and couldn't vote? Do you realize that?
The time.
Hold on, I'm not done. I gave you a second, so I'm gonna take mine. So 67% of the people in 2019 said it was time to do this. And 52% of us weren't even alive to vote in 1986. Don't you think it's time we gave them the chance? Hold on, it was a rhetorical question. I'm gonna come back to that. So what I hear you saying, Mr. Lorraine, and you're right, as the parish president and this council, we control both of the road districts. You're absolutely correct, right? So if we control both of those road districts, and we have begun partnerships with the school board superintendent, with the port commission, with our assessor, with our sheriff, then why wouldn't we just start to consolidate them, right? If we control both of them already, why wouldn't we just make one out of them? Again, a rhetorical question. I'm gonna come back to you. So what I hear you saying is that you're against teacher pay raises, and over the next 5 years while we wait to do this, you're willing to tax our residences and our businesses over $80 million in additional money that we theoretically don't need to be able to fund your little fiefdom in South Lafourche. Hold on, I'm not done. You're scared that you don't have the control over Road 2 and Drainage District number 1. It's not the people. Again, 67% of the population elected us to this office, and they said it was time to do this. Right? Hold on, I'm still a rhetorical question. It's time that we do this, not only for my kids and your grandkids, and what will hopefully be your great-grandkids and mine, right? If we continue to lose teachers, right, what's gonna happen? Our businesses are gonna fold, kids are not gonna be able to go to Nichols, then Nichols folds, and what happens to those 500 employees that work at Nichols, right? Then we can't afford anything, right? So when you look at the reductions, again, I'm not talking politics, when you look at the numbers, right? And if the water district, and I've had the same conversations with the board members that you have, right, including their chairman, If they're still worried about tackling other people's issues, then why do they collect the sewer for the town of Golometa and the town of Lockport and remit that payment, right? Why do they collect all the other stuff that's on their bill and remit payment to different people, right? The 5 sewer districts we already have. The 5 little districts that we control in Marydale and Rita, why do they collect that tax and remit it to us? It's not that big of a problem. Again, you just don't want it. When you look at the reductions, from a whole penny in Road A to a half a penny, when you look at the reductions on the ad valorem side and what that means month to month of your paycheck, nobody is gonna have a problem paying $16 extra a month. I waste more than $16 a day before I wake up in the morning, I promise you, right? And at the end of the day, right, if $16 a month on your water bill is not worth your child or your grandchild's education, then we need to pack up and reevaluate our priorities here in Lafourche Parish, because they are all kind of screwed up. All right, now I'm done.
We had that.
I'm gonna go sit down now.
Oh, you don't want to hear my side?
No, I'm gonna hear you, son. This is my leg to talk.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. We had it on the water bill, and we got rid of it. That's what the people wanted. We got rid of it. And then you complaining about a 20-year tax that I propose, but yet yours is 20 years. Yours, what's the difference? Mine's is no good. The first 10-year tax failed in District 1, which is the power lines north, 35% for, 65% against. And it passed on the south, 60-40. That ain't nothing. When we did it for 20 years, in which we got 5 years left, it passed from the power line south, 84% yes, 16% no. Now you tell me that 84% voted for this and they don't count no more? We can't finish the 20 years? I think you're mistaking. Highly mistaken. Now it did pass in the north. This was a half. The north had passed 54-46. Pretty damn close. 54% for, 46 against.
Yeah.
We only had 16% against. Okay? And this is a penny. Now, what you're doing, you want to bring it to half a penny because you're trying to buy some votes. You're lowering it a half a penny, and you're shooting yourself in the foot because you said you collected 4 million, 3.5, and if you go to half a penny, you're only going to collect 1.5?
No, the 3.5 is what we collected, what we will collect at half a penny.
Well, which you're collecting 4 million now, or 5 with the penny. Oh yeah. So if you go to half, you're going to collect half of that. All you want to do is move that boundary line. And that boundary line protects the people, not just in the 10th Ward, from the power line south. That's the protection. If we lose that boundary, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. We got all our bridges fixed. He said bridges. Every time we had a bridge broke, cost money, but we got it fixed. Is the Valentine Bridge fixed? 7 years. 7 years. And they're working hard to try to get it done. And I hope they do get it done because they need it. But it's only been out for 7 years because you don't have the money.
All right, thank you, Mr. Loran. We'll move on. Mr. Arabi.
Yeah, Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna start off, I am in favor of teachers getting a raise.
Yep.
And I'll do what I can to help our teachers, because they definitely need raises. That's not a problem. My only question I have for you is in reference to the solid waste. You wanna get 0.3 to us and 0.4 to the school board. And you wanna put a $16 charge on our water bill. How is that gonna be saving taxpayers' money with that particular tax?
So you got to look at it in totality, Mr. Arabi, right? So if you look at it in just that mantra, right? The sales tax side, when you go to Walmart, Rouse's, CVS, it's going to be the exact same amount of money, right? You're going to be paying that 9.55%, right?
Plus $16.
When you look at it in totality, right? So when you and I go shop at Walmart, right? We're now paying a penny in sales tax for roads. So we're dropping that to a half a penny. So I'm saving you a half a penny off the boat, right? So that 9.5 just went to 9.1. Right? But then you're right, I'm adding a $16 charge on your water bill. But if you run the numbers, and you and I both know that everybody spends more than $2,000 a month. I know I do as a family of 4 because of inflation and cost. You're paying almost that in sales tax now, right? So if I lower that rate by half a penny, then you're saving it. The crux that saves the southern end of the parish is what we're doing on the ad valorem side. What we're gonna save you month to month on your mortgage or what you put aside to pay your property taxes every month is gonna be decreased by the ad valorem savings. So you have to look at it, again, if you look at it just on a sales tax or on an ad valorem side, most of the time it's revenue neutral, right? But you have to look at it in totality. That's why we're doing this as a package. Because if I just came to you and said, yep, we're gonna lower this, we're gonna give some to the school board, and we're gonna add that $16 a month, and it's actually gonna be less than that, because it's what we pay plus a percentage point for the water district for an administrative fee, which is what all the parishes around us do. It would look like an increase. But again, you look at it in totality, we're saving everybody money across the board. And I will say from a fairness perspective, a sales tax, when it comes to roads maybe, is definitely an equal across the board, right? Because you got the trucker that's coming from Lafayette to Fourien that's driving and messing up our road with heavy loads or whatever, right? But when you look at it from a solid waste standpoint, we're gonna make that truck driver who's going from Lafayette to Fourien stop at the Shell station or a Go Bears, whatever convenience store you wanna use, and he's gonna buy a can of dip, a pack of cigarettes, a Coke, a candy bar, whatever, and he's gonna pay for a solid waste sales tax that he never gets the benefit of using. And what happens? The company who bought that drill pipe got upcharged because they know they're gonna have to pay that sales tax. The company where that pipe's going offshore, whatever that widget is gonna upcharge their customer because they know they have to pay the sales tax. So how is that fair? We're charging companies and businesses, we're charging people like Bollinger or Express Steel. They have to pay a sales tax on every piece of steel they sell to Valentine Chemical, to John Deere, to whoever it may be. A sales tax for solid waste that they never get to use, because guess what? In Lafourche Parish, we say you're a commercial business and you have to have a dumpster. How is that fair? It's not.
Well,
Anyway,
and my problem is, I'm very familiar with solid waste, as you know. And you could save $15, $10, or whatever you want to say on it to start off with. But when the solid waste is going to keep going up and going up and going up, then somebody's going to have to pay. So you're going to keep going up on the water bill, or what you going to do?
yeah. So let me ask you this, Mr. Arabi. So in 2018, when the sales tax bottom fell out of this parish because our economy tanked, right? What happened? The previous administration,
BP bail is out.
right?
BP bail is out.
No doubt, right? But in 2018, when that was still going on, what had to happen? The administration at that time had to go to Baton Rouge, and that was the clip I showed you. You know what they were doing when they went to Baton Rouge? They were going to ask the legislature to let this parish roll back up to a penny, a full penny from that 7/10, without even going back to the voters. They were trying to raise our taxes without going back to the voters. Hell, at least I'm trying to lower them, right? But we're never gonna have to worry about that again, right? We're never gonna have to worry about raising taxes again on the overall consumer, because we're gonna move to a straight pass-through user fee, right? We're never gonna have to worry about what happens in our economy again when it comes to this, because we'll always be able to pay for garbage. I'm not gonna have to go before the legislature and make threats about not picking up garbage and having shrimp peelings and crawfish peelings stinking in your driveway because I couldn't pick it up, right? Why? Because we're paying for it. And again, we save $15, $16, we may get to 20, 30. I don't know what happens to the price
You
of
can
garbage.
rest assured that, it's coming.
Right? We got very lucky when River Birch came in and took over our garbage, because we were able to slash the price.
That's
because
exactly
they were
right.
hauling it to their own landfill, right? I don't see that company going away anytime soon, because it's the sweetest deal ever, right? Because they don't charge themselves tipping fees because they haul it, so we're able to reduce that price. So I don't, in the foreseeable future, right, as long as probably any of us are gonna be around, that number driving to some exponential level where we're seeing, $40, $50 a month on garbage fees, right? It's gonna creep up, because it's gonna creep up based on the economy, right? It's gonna creep up based on the price of fuel, but what happens, and I'm gonna get on a political soapbox for a second, what happens if, we get a different president and the economy picks up, those numbers begin, so it's gonna be a constant flux of what we pay, whether you wanna pay for it every time you go to the grocery store, or you wanna pay for it just once a month. We're gonna pay for it, it's just how you wanna do it.
Well, I'm just kind of concerned about that solid waste tax, because you already talking about building a transfer station over there, which was very much needed for Lafourche Parish residents. So that's going to be an additional burden on the solid waste funds. And I mean, you're talking about cutting tax in different places. There's no other way we can get the teachers an additional tax besides fooling with the solid waste one?
Yeah, go ask for a new tax. You wanna pay more? It's not new taxes, Daniel, don't even go there, right?
No, but if you're eliminating something, right? You can't, same way you eliminate the solid waste one, or rededicated, you can't rededicate another 0.5% or somewhere else?
Where you want to steal it from? Tell me.
I'm asking you, you don't want done the studying.
I mean, look, we have 64 boards and commissions, all of which have taxing authority, right? We can go after a whole host of people if you want to, right? I can go to the next Chiefs Association meeting and tackle fire departments, right? We can go tackle things like the library, the veterans districts. We can cut stuff every which way from Sunday over what we have control over, right? I don't think that this is again the easiest, most palatable way to start the conversation, right? If we want to go, and Mr. Lorraine said this the other day on the radio, right? Well, what's next? What happens if he wants to go after the fire districts, right? I don't know, right? What happens next year when we bring the steering committee back together? If this passes and it works, do we go take another bite of the apple? What does that look like, right? I don't know. Do the fire chiefs have a taste for consolidating the fire departments across Lafourche Parish, going to more paid departments to help their ratings, and we rework the structure of parcel fees and millages to help the fire departments? I don't know. That's a much tougher battle because those deal with really public safety aspects, right? Again, when we talk about garbage collection and roads and bridges, those are easy because there's multiple funding streams we get for those things, whether they be capital outlay. Look, last year we did $29 million worth of grants, right? That's $29 million we didn't have to ask the taxpayer to fund stuff. So is there other stuff? And Laura's gonna slap me when I say this, right? But could we have gone stolen a mill from the library and given to the school board? Probably. You wanna have that fight? Let's gear up and have it, right? But we're gonna go back to the books, not crooks, right? I don't know that part of this, to Daniel's point, he's right. Part of this is truly political strategy because you have to think about what the voters are gonna approve. I can't go out there with some half-brained, wild-ass idea that I came up with in the middle of the night because I want to give teachers a pay raise and I want to help reduce the burden on the businesses. Again, you had 14 people in a room over 2.5 years that came up with this. That's why we're here. And look, I hear your concerns, Mr. Arabi. I get about what happens to the transfer station that we're going to build, and we're having those discussions, right? Do you build a transfer station, and a contractor comes in? We're going to charge that contractor because it's commercial debris to throw his stuff in our dumpsters. Do you charge the resident $1 when they show up with their washing machine, right? And you self-fund it that way. When you look at the amount of money we spend on recycled materials or recycle bins and other bins across the parish, if you get rid of that and you make everybody come to Raceland, then you've just saved yourself $300,000 a year. That's enough money to run that station, right? So it's not, I don't want you guys to think that we hadn't thought that through, right? Because we have. We've thought 10 years down the road as to what the impacts of this are gonna be long-term. And again, 2.5 years and 14 people with their heads to the ground, a majority of which some of are in this room who are a hell of a lot smarter than I am, helped us come up with this, and that's why we're here.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm just concerned about that solid waste tax. 'Cause
I understand.
I'm very familiar with solid waste, and I know where we were when we originally started off, and where we at now, and when we ran out of money damn near, and it ain't gonna get any better up the road.
No doubt. But, and again, I go back to not only just the 5-year, what I call the weight gain, right? So you're talking about $34 million in additional taxes we would pay for solid waste across those 5 years. It takes us about $4.5–5 million a year to run just the garbage collection side of the house, right? And this last year, we collected over 10. So we've taxed our people more than just what we need already. Why would we do that over the next 5 years? And then I'll just, real quick, Mr. Chairman, again, I don't mean to pick on Daniel. I love him. I really do. But he's been the most vocal about this. So let's go back again. I'm a numbers guy. So he talks about 1997 and 2019 when it renewed. Did you know in 1997 when Road A got renewed, you know how many people voted? 2,825. So we talk about 52%. You talk about 52% of 2,800 people, right? When it renewed in 2019, guess what happened? It was 12,000. There's over 20,000 registered voters in this parish, but we're going to bank our hats on 2,800 people. So I'm done.
Mr. Adams.
No, I think Bo was first. So I got a question, right? What school board that is?
It's the Lafourche Parish School Board.
Okay, what's the sheriff's?
Lafourche Parish.
What is this?
Lafourche Parish government. Yeah.
So how is it not our problem, Daniel? How is it not our problem giving them money? Because you said it wasn't. You said it wasn't our problem. It's a rhetorical question. I don't need your answer because I know your answer.
Yeah, don't ask it.
Please don't answer, because I've heard enough. Sorry, you can just be quiet. I'm just saying, okay, you want a boundary. Why are we creating boundaries right now? There's no reason there should be a boundary. There's no reason. There's none for it. There's no Lafourche, there's no South Lafourche. It's just Lafourche. Why can't it just be Lafourche? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Ms. Melvin.
Yeah, thank you. And look, I want to commend the parish president on making an effort. I know you ran on it. I know there definitely needs to be some changes. Who doesn't want to see teachers get a pay raise? And Mr. Martin, look, nothing personal. I did teach briefly at South Lafourche, so I know that there's problems in classes and schools and challenges we face every day, no matter where you are, but in schools per se, nationwide, not just in Lafourche. I know that pay raises help. Of course, money is not the ultimate motivator. However, my question is in regard to, I'd love to have seen the charts and the numbers with that $16, because see, when I asked last week, when we were talking briefly, might have been side council, but just, talking about numbers and saying, hey, we're taking this and moving it here, and there's no increases, and we're doing this, and then, man, we got $16. Like, that's a peekaboo hello out the blue, and, anytime I see a fee, a tax, or something, I just kind of have to question it, because it's not me, this is the people's chair I'm sitting in.
No doubt. So Mr. Melvin, I will tell you that Robbie and Mr. Dean Gidger from the school board met today. We're going to start to put together a one-page white paper that not only you guys can use to answer questions in the community, but the school board can as well. And those numbers are going to be included on there, right? I can, based on the data that we have from Wendy and the spreadsheets that we've built, I can take any one of your houses, right? And I can run those numbers and show you what your savings are going to be, right? If you tell me what your monthly expenditures are at Walmart, Rouse's, CVS, we combine all that up, 2,000, 5,000, whatever it is, we can run those numbers and I can show you the savings. So we'll show you that, right? I'll do it individually for you if you want to see your own, if you tell me what those numbers are, right? And then I'll show you what we're saving you per month on your ad valorem, what we're going to save you per month on your sales, and I'll add in that $16 and to still show you what the net savings are going to be. I can do that for you. That's very easy.
Okay, just checking.
Yep.
All right, thank you, gentlemen, for the conversations. We'll move into item F, executive session. Have a motion by Mr. Adams, second by Mrs. Chasson to enter into executive session for the following two items. Item number 4, workman's compensation claim LCA-0014689, and item number 6, LCA-001-005. All in favor? Any opposed?
051.
Misspoke?
Say 1. 001, 005, 1.
That's 001-0051. Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, and 1 absence being Mr. Melvin. To reconvene the meeting, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence being Mr. Groh. Have a motion by Mrs. Chasson, second by Mr. Adams, to take necessary action, if any, regarding the matters discussed in the executive session on item number 1, the first claim LCA-0014689. Any discussion? Take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence being Mr. Groh. Have a motion by Mr. Otan, second by Mr. Melvin, to take necessary action, if any, regarding the matters discussed in the executive session on item number 6, second claim LCA-0010051. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence being Mr. Groh. We'll move into item G, action from executive session. Number 5, resolution authorizing the parish council to approve the settlement of parish workers' compensation claim LCA-0014689 for the number agreed upon in executive session on behalf of the Lafourche Parish government, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mr. Jones, second by Mrs. Chasson. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, and 1 absence being Mr. Groh. And just for the record, executive session consisted of full council, parish president, parish administrator, attorney Jennifer Frederickson, Mr. Joshua Cockfield, and Ms. Leisha Ogeron with the Lafourche Parish District Attorney's Office.
Jennifer, sir. Jennifer,
Frederickson
thank you.
and Joshua Cockfield. Okay. Do we have to do something to do all this? Make a motion to go to I? Since we,
Wait, are you gonna take any, you did this already?
as part of the other one.
Okay.
All right, item I, Item J, legal advisory report, we have none. Item K, engineers and architects reports.
Oh, I thought he had something he wanted to put right here.
No, authorizing action from it.
All right. Good evening, Laura Barnes with GIS Engineering, 197 Elysian Drive in Houma. So a couple of project updates for you this evening. So the first one, got the clicker, is Cyprian Pump Station. So this one is essentially complete. We did the final walkthrough back in July. There were a couple of punch list items. The only outstanding item is they had to order replacement diesel line solenoid valves. Those should be in by the end of this week, and once those are replaced, then we can close out this contract. The Butch Hill Pump Station, so we're currently in final design on that project. It's a 1,200 CFS pump station. The permitting is really going to be the critical path there. We submitted the coastal use permit in beginning of August. That usually takes six, 7 months. So we're anticipating to have that complete in January or February of next year, and the design will be complete in advance of that. The next one we added, so the Ludovine Pump Station. This is 450 CFS pump station that's going to go near Hamilton Street. We're currently working with North Lafourche and also coordinating with Lafourche Parish and CPRA on this pump station. We're in the final design phase of that, implementing comments received from all those agencies. We should be ready to advertise in November, and this will have 3 48-inch pumps. Valentine Pontoon Bridge rehab. Again, we are wrapping up final design of that. We should be ready to submit that package the first week of November to you guys for review, and also to DOTD. At this point, the critical path will be permitting and raise grants. So in the last couple of weeks, we started with all the award recipients. They started hosting webinars that we participate in as we progress to actually executing the grant agreement. Grand Bayou Freshwater Reintroduction. We're kind of still in a holding pattern on this one, ready to go into preliminary design, but needing to nail down the actual location that this pump station will be. Residential drop-off site, so this is going to be along Highway 182 near 90 and the Lafourche Parish shooting range. So at this point, the topographic survey is complete. We have started with the environmental permitting process, and then once the environmental site assessment is complete, then we can start the geotech investigations. The Hurricane Ida pump station rehab, I don't believe there's any update on those. These are the 6 pump stations that we're working with HGA and the parish on. The Bridge Investment Program grants, so we had 3 bridges where we submitted planning grant applications for those. The selection is scheduled for the end of this year or early 2023, so we should know if these bridges were selected for those grant awards. In the meantime, the Sanchez Bridge, Sanchez Road over Grand Bayou, we are proceeding with construction for repairs on this one. So Sea Level is the contractor. We're working with them on material certifications and scheduling. They are mobilizing or should be mobilizing the second week in November, and the current plan is for road closure the week of Thanksgiving, so the 19th through the 23rd. That's it.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody have any questions, Ms. Laura? Mr. Mel.
I had a quick question. I want to, 2 real quick ones. A clarification on the operation date for Cyprian. I know you said you're waiting on one more thing, but what was the date we're going to flip some switches to make sure everything's running?
So it's running now.
Okay.
They just need to change out those diesel solenoid valves, so it's operational now.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, real quick, this is just a geographical question.
Okay.
Because I grew up right south of Ludovine, but it's Ludovine, Banana Grove, and then further down you got T-Bois. So is it the parish or a company that came up with the name Ludovine pump station. Because that ain't Ludovine.
It's been called that for as long as I've been around.
Okay, because I mean, I'm like, that's T-Bois. Ludovine's a mile up, but okay.
All right, thank you, sir. Anybody else? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening, Jack Plaisance with T. Baker Smith, 1100 South Acadia Road, Thibodaux. So, first one to talk about is Eastside Drainage, Phase 1. Project is substantially complete. I believe the last remaining punch list item, which was a small item, was completed today. So basically in the last month or so, we readdressed the Plaisance and Danos outfalls, general site maintenance, cleanup, punch list items. Item 40 on the agenda tonight is change order 4. It's the last change order for the project, increasing the contract by $44,969. That includes a remobilization to Plaisance lateral and some stump grinding work along the Danos lateral. This has already been approved by DOTD, and it's on the agenda for later. Here's some pictures over the last month or so. This is the Danos lateral, basically behind or to the rear of East 52nd Street and Cutoff. Earlier in the month, finishing up tree work and ditch sweeping. Again here, the John Danos lateral towards the front near the 20 Arpin Canal. Danos lateral near the 20 Arpin Canal again. And this is more towards the east at the 40 Arpin Canal, the rear portion of that same lateral. They went back and reswept it again. It had been a period of time since it was initially dug. And here's some cleanup work that was completed this month on the Plaisance lateral, basically near East 70th Street. They were able to go back in, clean up the spoils, tree stumps, and place those into stockpile along the outfall. West Side Drainage, this was that statewide flood control project application that we submitted at the end of last month. It includes improvements along 3235 in La Rose, Cutoff, and Galliano. So this is just a couple of sheets from that application. This one being in La Rose. Basically, we have cross drain pipes along 3235, drainage laterals, basically from east to west towards the 40 Arpin Canal and the South Fourche levee in several areas of the west side of South Fourche. And our GIS information infrastructure project, we're basically wrapping up phase 1, which was digitally mapping the parish boundary, field office, councilmatic districts, municipalities, taxing districts in the parish, and wrapping up that first phase of the upgrades to the GIS system. So that would conclude my report. Any questions?
Anybody have questions for Mr. Jack? Mr. Lorraine?
Yeah, Jack, on the East Side Drainage Project, they got a pump station coming there. Is that the next phase, or where are we at with that?
Yeah, that's the next phase, and we're starting to have some discussions on that project again. We talked about it several months back, and working towards project scope and getting that project going as well.
Do you have a location for that? About?
There's a proposed location. I'm not certain that's the final location.
And then I think last month, I don't know if you were here or not, you gave us back 160, now you're taking back another 40-something.
Both of those change orders were actually processed at the same time. I guess there was a delay or a reason for hanging on to it. Overall, the project was completed $640,000 under budget. So those monies would potentially and rightly be used on the next phase.
so that they could be used for the pump station?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, because I was gonna ask you to come back in 2 years and sweep it off.
We can do that again, sure.
Thank you, Ms. Lorraine. Thank you, Jack.
Yes, sir. Thank
Moving to item L, public wishing to address the council, public hearings, agenda items, et cetera. Ms. Carleen.
Mr. Larry Helm, if you come to the podium, sir, state your name and address for the record. Please remember you have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Larry Helm. I'm at 1605 St. Mary Street in Thibodeau. That's west of town, down by Roush's, along the bayou. I want to tell you, we moved here about a year ago and bought a house, and we really like it here. I have a little complaint. For instance, hearing a prayer at a council meeting, that happened on the West Coast maybe 20 years ago. So it's like coming home. But they've been building houses like crazy on the west side of Thibodeau. I don't know if you know that. And what I'm here to complain about is the litter. The litter in my yard along Highway 1 or St. Mary Street is just terrible. I'm out picking up litter every day. All my neighbors are complaining about it. And there has to be something done. I'm an ex-officer. I know how officers hate writing litter tickets, but they need to start doing that. They need to be volunteer groups coming. We need to clean up the city. It's getting dirty. And other than that, I really like what you guys are all doing. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I can, is it coming from a particular development that we can address, or is it just generic truck traffic?
Well, it's down from McDonald's. I mean, there's a big McDonald's on the corner there about a quarter mile away. So a lot of the stuff is McDonald's trash. But I had another question. You're going to put that $16 fee on the water district, right? Who controls how that goes up and down?
The council.
Okay, so it's not going to be up to the River Birch or anybody like that?
No. So the way the contract is structured is we have a price, and then it graduates by CPI, but we approve those change orders through the council.
So the taxpayer still has control over that fee no matter where it goes?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Helm. Thank you, sir.
Ms. Tara Lede. What? Oh, I'm sorry.
I was
Sorry,
gonna
Ms.
ask,
Ms.
I was
Tara,
gonna
can
ask,
you hold on 1 second?
can we contact the state to put maybe some no littering signs up or along the road so that they are fined for litter or something? That way, at least something could be done, maybe, some.
All right, Ms. Tara, you can come up. Please state
You
your name
done?
and address for the record.
You done?
Tara Lede, 303 West 3rd Street, Thibodeau. I work for Annette Fontana, Clerk of Court, and she wasn't able to be here tonight, but since I wanted to come see Judge Leblanc, she told me to remind y'all about early voting. So early voting begins Tuesday, October 25th through Tuesday, November 1st. The times are 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m., no Sundays. And there's 3 locations. In Galliana, the South Lafourche parking lot. South Lafourche Library parking lot will have the mobile unit like we did last year, here at this building, and in Thibodeau at the main office, register voters. Ms. Fontana did ask me to let y'all know she's coming to the next meeting with a full presentation on the election. Okay?
Thank you, Ms. Tara.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move into item M, council reports, news, and announcements. Anybody with anything? Mr. Ote.
I'll let Terry go first.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Arabi.
Well, I want to start off by thanking the good Lord for the beautiful weather that he gave us for our festival this past weekend. We had some gorgeous weather. And our festival was a very, very good success this year. Like I said, we had to get back in the routine. We hadn't done it in 2 years, but the public came out and supported us very well. The sponsorship was overwhelming. The people bidding on auction items, they were overwhelming also. So I just want to thank all the general public that came out and enjoyed themselves. Again, that's what this festival is all about, getting the people out to come out in our community and enjoy it. And we had a very, very good turnout this past year. So thanks to everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Arabi. Mr. Ote.
All right, so first off, I want to start off, I'm going to put on my fire chief hat, just do a public service announcement. Since October is Fire Prevention Month, and many of the kids are going to see fire departments, fire prevention officers in the schools, and they're going to be reminding them to go back and tell their parents carbon monoxide, smoke detectors are absolutely, it's imperative that they are functioning in your house. If the batteries are weak, need to be changed, please change them. Make sure you have them. Make sure your neighbor has them. Make sure your other family members have them. They do save lives. And there's a second thing that we always saying that during Fire Prevention Month is please don't allow your kids to play with fires. They become intrigued by them, and then they cause us problems. So never allow your kid to play with fires. And of course, we tell them to stop, drop, and roll if they do get caught on fire. And I'll remind you that the majority of the fatalities I've worked over the last 31 years were related to cigarettes, open candles, and overloaded extension cords. So be very mindful of that. If you're a smoker, on where you put that cigarette out at, leaving your house with a candle lit, whether it be by a curtain, people think it can't happen, it does. And then overloaded extension cords are pretty one of our bigger ones also. I'll also tell you that because I've been getting a lot of calls as of late, in the state of Louisiana, in Lafourche Parish right now, we do not have a burn ban. However, the State Fire Marshal's Office continues to engage us and acts as if we feel like one's necessary because of the excessively dry conditions we have right now. So please be careful if you're going to do an open burn. We certainly would ask that you hold off right now while everything is so dry and the high winds we're having. Now, with that said, I also want to mention, for those who may not have noticed, the Lafourche Community Center in the North Lockport curve is undergoing finally the renovations. Hurricane Zeta caused some damage, some more. Hurricane Zeta. I'm going to get to item next. Hurricane Zeta initiated some issues there with the roof, and then subsequent problems with the flooring starting to buckle, and Hurricane Ida kind of finished it off. So they have torn the floors up. They're redoing the roof. So hopefully we'll have that center back in service quick, because people from all over the parish have been using it due to other damages from Hurricane Ida. So I'm glad to see that going on. Thank you. I hope to see the same level of movement with the morgue soon. Last thing I want to say, Mr. Chairman, is I will just reiterate what Terry said. First time in probably 5 years we had absolutely perfect weather. Of course, we had COVID, we had Hurricane Ida, and then 2 years before that we fought with weather. So we had an absolutely perfect weekend. We had gobs and gobs of volunteers, the organizational members, friends, families, aunts, uncles, cousins, mother-in-law, father-in-law, everybody was out there. I want to thank all of the elected officials that attended our function. I know we had, for instance, State Rep, from up the by. I know we had a bunch of the elected officials that are in here. We had our own parish president that did our auction for us. So it was very well supported. So I just want to thank everyone for coming out and know that the funds that we generate are coming right back in this community. They don't leave from the Raceland Fire Department, Lockport Fire Department, Lockport Carnival Club, and the Raceland Lions Club. So that money's going to come right back and help us out. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Otam. Mr. Melvin.
Yes, I just wanted to let everybody know Nichols is playing home this weekend. We're playing in Cornet Word at 4 p.m. Eastern, so that's 3 o'clock here. And hope everybody can come out, and the weather, hopefully, prayerfully, will be good. And also, I just wanted to encourage people, I know that we have a handful here, but especially on TV, maybe watching, that, we have some challenges in the country. Don't hesitate to contact your elected officials, either it's local, national, or state, because I know that there's some things happening. It just seems like you scratch your head and like, that doesn't make sense, and this doesn't make sense. But if you think you don't have a voice, get on the horn and call your official, because again, what seems impossible with God, all things are possible. So don't hesitate to call your elected officials, no matter where they are. Let them know something ain't right if you don't see it.
Thank you, Mr. Melvin. Mrs. Chasson.
Yes, thank you. I attended the festival in Raceland. It was wonderful. We had a great time. It was a good weekend. So I want to remind everybody we have another wonderful festival coming up. October 28th, 29th, and 30th is the French Food Festival at La Rose Civic Center. So if y'all not done with partying and having a good time with all that good food, y'all go join us at La Rose Civic Center. Thanks.
The 47th annual.
Thank you. Yes, 47th annual.
Thank you, Mrs. Chasson. Mr. Adams.
Oh, it's my turn.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have two announcements. This Friday, October 14th, at the Bayou Buff Fire Station, they are holding an adult dinner and dance. It's junior lacrosse is going to be playing from 7 to 11. You can get there at 5:30 and get your meal. It's a $15 for admission. You get a meal and you get to see junior. That's this Friday, October 14th, 5:30 to 11. And next weekend is the Gumbo Festival in Chack Bay. It's October 21st to 23rd, so come out there and help support the Chack Bay Fire Department and get you some gumbo, some world-famous gumbo. And that is October 21st to 23rd. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Okay. October 15th is Relay for Life, 6 to 9:30 p.m. at the LA Cajun Bayou Visitor Center in Raceland, if you're interested in that. Last meeting, we also talked about the 10th Annual Domestic Violence Candlelight Vigil, Tuesday, October 18th at 6 p.m. at the Lafourche Central Market in Raceland as well. October is also Breast Cancer Awareness Month. My wife just finished a 1.5-year battle with breast cancer, and she really kicked ass. So if you are of age and are a female, please get your annual mammograms because they do save lives. Mr. Otan and Mr. Arabi talked about the volunteers and the organizations that their fair benefited. I attended that. I also attended Miss Chasson's fair down the bayou, and I will be at the French Food Festival in La Rose as well. We heard earlier from Bless Your Heart, which is another nonprofit, and that's what all these are. Mr. Otan alluded to the fact of volunteers, and that is very important. We said earlier, everybody can do something, so even if you never intend on running into a house fire, you can still join the fire department. They need fire prevention people. They need people to pass out water at fires. Need people to direct traffic at wrecks. If you never plan on strapping on a gun and, you know, going out and catch bad guys, Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office has reserves. You can go out there, donate your time for abundance of different things, teaching classes, you know, doing things. The parish has programs at the different animal shelters, things like that, and all of these different groups, the different youth centers. You can be a basketball coach, a football coach, touch the lives of a child. Every organization around here needs volunteers. They need financial support. They need supporters. So please try to find something reputable in your area. Go out there and make a difference, like we've heard so many people do already tonight. And if you do not know what is reputable or not, contact one of your council members up here for your district, and we can tell you what in that particular district in your area is a worthwhile cause, or we can tell you about the different ones they have and what, you know, projects they have and functions that they do to see if it aligns with anything that interests you. So please volunteer, because a lot of these services that are offered and given back to the community rely on those volunteers. Anyone else? All right, we'll move into item N, a public hearing and ordinances for ratification. Motion by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Adams to open public hearing. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence being Mr. Groh. Item number 7, ordinance requesting no dumping of trash signs to be posted south of East 179th Street on the east side of Highway 308, Golden Meadow, Louisiana, Ward 10, District 9, Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, providing for the placement of no dumping of trash signs. Motion by Mr. Lorraine, second by Mr. Otan. Any discussion? Any public comment? I'm sorry. Second call, public. Third and final call, public. Any council discussion? We'll take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, being Mr. Groh. Motion by Mrs. Chasson, second by Mr. Jones to close public hearing. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, being Mr. Groh. Item O, proposed ordinances. Ms. Chasson, will you do the honors?
Yes. 8, proposed ordinance, amending ordinance number 6705, that amended ordinance number 6697, that adopted the 2022 operations and maintenance budget and capital outlay budget for Lafourche Parish Council, as well as setting the salaries of unclassified employees as provided for by Article 5 of Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter. Mr. Jim Wendell for administration. 9, proposed ordinance declaring property as surplus belonging to Lafourche Parish government, authorizing the disposal of surplus property, authorizing the advertising of surplus items for sale, authorizing the acceptance of the highest qualified bidders and any remaining items that are deemed to have no value and will be properly discarded, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Mr. Jim Wendell for administration. Proposed ordinance 10, approving a servitude agreement between Hodson Estate Incorporated and Lafourche Parish government in the Raceland area, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Mr. Jim Wendell for administration. Number 11, proposed ordinance ordering and calling a special election to be held in Sales Tax District Number 4 of Lafourche Parish, of the Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, to authorize a reduction of the sales and use tax therein, making application to the State Bond Commission, and providing for other matters in connection therewith. Mr. Jim Wendell for administration. 12, proposed ordinance ordering and calling a special election to be held in Road Sales Tax District of the Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, to authorize the sales and use tax therein, making application to the State Bond Commission, and providing for other matters in connection therewith. Mr. Jim Wendell for administration. 13, proposed ordinance ordering and calling a special election to be held in the Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, to authorize the renewal and in lieu of ad valorem taxes therein, making application to the State Bond Commission, and providing for other matters in connection therewith. Mr. Jim Wendell for administration. Number 14, proposed ordinance adopting the 2023 operations and maintenance and capital budget for Lafourche Parish Council, as well as setting the salaries of unclassified employees as provided for by Article 5 of Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter. Mr. Jim Wendell for administration.
Thank you, ma'am. We'll move into item P, schedule budget public hearings and enactment of the 2023 budget ordinance. Item number 15, schedule first budget public hearing, which will be November 7th, 2022 at 6 p.m., which is a Monday. I have a motion by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence being Mr. Grow. Item number 16, schedule second budget public hearing on November 9th, 2022 at 6 p.m., which is a Wednesday. Motion by Mr. Otan, second by Mr. Arabi. Any discussion? Take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence being Mr. Grow. Item number 17, schedule the enactment of the 2023 budget ordinance on November 22nd, 2022, which is our regularly scheduled council meeting night. Motion by Mr. Adams, second by Mrs. Chasson. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence being Mr. Grow. Item Q, resolutions. Number 18, resolution appointing 1 member to the Housing Authority of Lafourche Parish Board. Motion by Mr. Arabi. Mr. Arabi, who do you have?
We have 1 vacancy, 2 applicants. I'd like to appoint Ms. Phyllis Majors.
Ms. Phyllis Majors, and I have a second by Mr. Otan. Any discussion? Mr. Adams?
No.
All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence being Mr. Grow. Item number 19, resolution appointing 1 member of the Fire Protection District Number 8C Board. Motion by Mr. Adams. Mr. Adams, who do you have?
Laris Bourgeois.
Laris Bourgeois. I have a second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence being Mr. Grow. Item 20, resolution appointing 1 member to the Fire Protection District Number 6 Board. Motion by Mr. Adams. Mr. Adams, who do you have?
Regan Sampier.
Reagan Sampe.
Regan Sampe, sorry.
Have a second by Mr. Jones again. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence being Mr. Grow. Item 21, resolution reappointing 1 member to the Fire Protection District Number 7 Board. Motion by Mr. Melvin. Mr. Melvin, who do you have?
Dr. Paul Goday.
Dr. Paul Goday. I have a second by Mr. Otan. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence being Mr. Grow. Item 22, resolution appointing 1 member on the Fire Protection District Number 2 Board. Motion by Mr. Arabi. Mr. Arabi, who do you have?
1 vacancy, 1 reappointment, Mr. Bruce Dufresne.
Mr. Bruce Dufresne. I have a second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence being Mr. Grow. Item 23, resolution appointing 7 members on the Head Start Policy Council as parent representatives and alternatives. Motion by Mrs. Chasson. Mrs. Chasson, who do you have?
We have Abigail Prophet, Shane Chaha, Kinchalika Trish, Sarah Yuze, Shanna Humphreys, Angel Savan, and Jada Fitch.
All right. And this will be voting on all 7. I have a second by Mr. Jones on this one. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence being Mr. Grow. Item 24, resolution supporting the submission of a grant application to the Houma Thibodeau Metropolitan Planning Organization, HTMPO, for the repairs to the St. Charles Bypass Bridge, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mr. Melvin, second by Mr. Arabi. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence being Mr. Grow. Item number 25, resolution approving change order number 1 from Pro Scales and Construction Services LLC for the project titled Hurricane Ida Repairs, Raceland Ag Facility Phase 1, increasing the contract price by $13,600 and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said change order and any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mr. Arabi, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just so you guys know, the change order was to knock down the walkway that went from the ag barn back up to the ag center facility. Had some issues. They did actually take care of it. We did the substantial walkthrough with them today. It looked really good. Teddy was very pleased. We do have a plan to put up some temporary tents for their show in November, and then the big parish show in January. I want to thank Councilman Arabi. Your tent guy saved us a few more dollars, so we were able to work that out with him. So thank you for giving us that contact. After the January show, we will begin construction on the permanent new facility that's going to go back up there. So we're rocking and rolling.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we'll take this one to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence being Mr. Grow. Item number 26, resolution approving a cooperative endeavor agreement between the Lafourche Parish Sheriff's Office and Lafourche Parish Government for the installation and funding of traffic calming devices and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? Take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion passes with 6 yeas. Right. You were a yea, correct? Okay. Motion passes with 6 yeas, 1 nay being Mr. Otan, 1 abstention being Mr. Wendell, and 1 absence being Mr. Grow.
Wendell, is that the $50,000 the sheriff always said he was going to put up?
That's right.
It took about 15 years to get that done.
You're
It
welcome.
didn't take you long, huh?
You're welcome.
Okay, man.
All right, item 27, resolution accepting the quote of Chassons Demolition LLC in the amount of $6,000 for the contractor services related to the demolition of condemned structure located at 339 Io Street, Raceland, Louisiana, 70394, assessment number 0031098100, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said contract and any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mr. Arabi, second by Mr. Lorraine. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? I'm sorry, go ahead, Ms. Chasson.
Can we just say that this is not related to me
Or me.
Okay.
or Mr. Chesson?
So the 2 Chassons in attendance, there is no relation. Got it. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence being Mr. Grow. Item 28, resolution accept 0 and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said contract and any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mr. Adams, second by Mrs. Chasson. Once again, no relation. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, and 1 absence being Mr. Grow. Item 29, resolution accepting the quote of Chassons Demolition LLC in the amount of $4,650 for contractor services related to the demolition of condemned structure located at 221 West 25th Street, La Rose, Louisiana, 70373, assessment number 010-167-0900, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said contract and any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mrs. Chasson, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence being Mr. Grow. Item 30, resolution accepting the quote of on 30? All right, 30 is deferred, pulled to November 22nd. Is deferred to the 22nd. All right, item 31, resolution accepting the quote of Chassons Demolition LLC in the amount of $6,000 for contractor services related to the demolition of condemned structures located at 632 Danaw Street, Lot 1, Raceland, Louisiana, 70394, assessment number 00311444900, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said contract and any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mr. Arabi, second by Mr. Otan. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence being Mr. Grow. Item 32, resolution approving the quote of Greenscapes of Louisiana Incorporated in the amount of $5,170 for contractor services related to the demolition of condemned structure located at 132 West 42nd Street, Cutoff, Louisiana, 70345, assessment number 0101704602, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said contract and any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mrs. Chasson, second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion?
Quick question.
Yes, sir.
Mr. President, just curious on these demolitions, do y'all verify where the disposition of the contents ends up? Or is it just they agree to it and we don't really follow up? Just curious.
So a lot of these demolitions are not voluntary on behalf of the landowner. We've received a nuisance complaint, we've gone through our process, it's been condemned by the CBO, and this is the last step. So typically whatever's on there is cleaned up and it goes away. We've only had one instance that I know of in the last several years where somebody has contested what we hauled away and actually filed a lawsuit to claim that there was something of value. Typically what happens in these, we demolish the property, we then send the bill to the homeowner or the property owner or whatever it is. They don't pay it, we end up with a lien on the property. And then as you guys know, this year was the first year we were able to work with the assessor to put some $900,000 worth of bad debt, that I call it, but liens on the tax bills. So a lot of these properties are now going to be adjudicated to us, then we can then sell and recoup the money at some point somewhere down the line.
Thank you for that very long answer.
Sorry.
but my specific question was, so there are contractors that will go out, they'll demolish houses, and then they'll go find a pasture somewhere, burn the wood.
Oh,
and
that's what you're talking about.
so,
Okay.
yeah, do we verify, and they're on the hook for paying for River Birch or wherever it goes?
That's right. It says in their contract that they're responsible to hauling it to a landfill or something, either putting it in a dumpster or using their own trucks or trailers.
Thank you, gentlemen. On item 32, any further discussion? Take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, being Mr. Groh. Item number 33, resolution certifying to the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development that we, Lafourche Parish government, have and will continue to comply with all FHWA/DOTD requirements regarding performance of interim inspections, calculating the load carrying capacity, and load post deficient bridges under our jurisdiction for 2022, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mr. Adams, second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, and 1 absence, being Mr. Groh. Item 34, resolution authorizing Pciolian Associates Incorporated to prepare and submit a pre-application to the statewide flood control program for assistance in the implementation of a project for the purpose of reducing existing flood damages, providing for the necessary documentation of said flood damages, and providing for other related matters in connection therewith, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mr. Arabi, second by Mr. Ota. Any discussion? Take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, being Mr. Groh. Item 35, resolution directing and authorizing the State Mineral and Energy Board to mineral lease the interest of the Lafourche Parish government in the following described property. Further directing and authorizing the State Mineral and Energy Board to handle the granting of oil, gas, and mineral lease as statutory provided, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mr. Melvin, second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion? Take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, being Mr. Groh. Item 36, resolution supporting a grant application for fiscal year 2022-2023 funding through the State of Louisiana Office of Community Development, Local Government Assistance Program, LGAP, to repair Lafourche Parish government-owned buildings located in Thibodeau and Matthews, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mr. Adams, second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion? Take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, being Mr. Groh. Item 37, resolution accepting the culvert polymer-coated bids for the time period of September 1st, 2022 through August 31st, 2023, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mr. Jones, second by Mrs. Chasson. Any discussion? Take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, being Mr. Groh. Item 38, resolution approving amendment number 2 to the agreement between Lafourche Parish Government and GIS Engineering LLC for the project titled Valentine Pontoon Bridge Rehab Project, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said amendment and any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mr. Otan, second by Mr. Lorraine. Any discussion? We'll take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, being Mr. Grow. Item 39, resolution approving a cooperative endeavor agreement between Lafourche Parish Council, Office of Community Action, and Kennedy Funeral Home, LLC for the purpose of providing funeral assistance and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mr. Jones, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? Take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, being Mr. Grew. Item number 40, resolution approving change order number 4 from LA Contracting Enterprise, LLC, for the project titled Eastside Drainage Improvements, increasing the contract price by $44,969.00, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said change order and any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mrs. Chasson, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? Take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, being Mr. Grow. Item number 41, resolution approving a contract between the Division of Administration and Lafourche Parish Government for waterline upgrades along Fairway Drive in Thibodaux, Louisiana, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said contract and any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mr. Melvin, second by Mr. Arabi. Any discussion? We'll take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, being Mr. Grew. Item 42, resolution approving a contract between the Office of Public Health, Bureau of Community Preparedness, and Lafourche Parish Government for fiscal year 2023 Cities Readiness Initiative, CRI, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said contract and any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mr. Oten, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? Take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, being Mr. Grow. Item 43, resolution accepting the low quote of Geosurfaces Incorporated in the amount of $165,600.00 for turf installation at LaRose Park, Civic Field Number 1, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mrs. Chasson, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? Mr. Adams.
Yeah, Mr. Chasson, where is that money actually coming from?
It comes out the parish-wide recreation fund.
So parish-wide?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Any other discussion? All right, we'll take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes with 7 yeas, 0 nays, 1 abstention being Mr. Wendell, and 1 absence being Mr. Grow. Item 44, resolution accepting the low quote of Geosurfaces Incorporated in the amount of $165,200.00 for turf installation at Oak Ridge Park Youth Field, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mr. Lorraine, second by Mr. Oten. Any discussion? Mr. Arabi.
Yes. Mr. President, are there any plans to continue doing this, in our area?
Yes, sir.
I hope I can live long enough.
Hey, the South got to get some. The South got to get theirs.
And that's that parish-wide tax again?
Parish-wide tax, yes, sir.
And this is Lafourche Parish.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you all. We'll take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes with 7 yeas, 0 nays, 1 abstention being Mr. Wendell, and 1 absence being Mr. Grow. Item 45, resolution approving an agreement between the Lafourche Parish Government and Angelette Pciolian LLC for engineering services for the project titled Industrial Park Road Bulkhead Improvements, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mr. Oten, second by Mr. Lorraine. Mr. Oten.
I just want to thank the administration for working to get this bulkhead, some issues going on there with some erosion. That East La Rose above the intercoastal area we've spent more money there since I've been a councilman than anywhere else. They have so many problems. So thank y'all for doing this. Much appreciated.
Thank you, sir. Any other discussion? We'll take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence being Mr. Grow. Item 46, resolution approving change order number 4 from Fourier Contracting Group LLC for the project titled Lockport Branch Library Entryway Project, decreasing the contract price by $25,536.00 and adding 40 additional days to the contract time, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said change order and any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mr. Oten, second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion? Take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, being Mr. Grove. Item 47, resolution approving an agreement between Gwen, Gwen Auction Company Incorporated and Lafourche Parish Government to advertise and auction surplus property, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mr. Adams, second by Mr. Jones. Any discussion?
Of course.
Go ahead, sir.
There's emergency declared. This auction gonna go on?
So in theory, the auction has already happened, right? We've sold all the vehicles. The reason we waited is because as part of their contract, we had to know what the actual amount was gonna be that we were gonna have to pay them, because it's a percentage. So it was only, their commission on this was only about $6,700, I think. It was somewhere in that range. So we did pretty well overall on the auction. We made, I don't know what, almost $80,000 off of the 50 or so vehicles and equipment we got rid of, so we did really well.
All right, item 47.
It died. I want to ask a question. So was the vehicle purchased from the road traffic aid? It died.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, we're still on item 47. Take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, being Mr. Grow. Item 48, resolution accepting Emergency Management Performance Grant, EMPG, fiscal year 2022 from the Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness in the amount of $46,240.15, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mr. Oten, second by Mr. Arabi. Any discussion? Take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, being Mr. Grow. Item 49, resolution approving an agreement with the State of Louisiana Department of Education for the Child and Adult Care Food Program, CACFP, for fiscal year 2023, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Motion by Mr. Arabi, second by Mr. Oten. Any discussion? We'll take it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence, being Mr. Grow. Item R, discussion. Number 50, discussion regarding dispensing with the Lafourche Parish Council, November 8, 2022 meeting. Motion by Mrs. Chasson, second by Mr. Adams, to dispense with that meeting because it is on Election Day, which is a holiday. Any discussion? Take it to a vote. All in favor? Mr. Mr.
Chairman,
Jones?
it's not just election day, it's my birthday.
Happy birthday. We get Jerry Jones's birthday off if this passes. All in favor? It. All right, that passed with 8 yeas, 0 nays, and 1 absence, being Mr. Grow. Item 48, resolution accepting the Emergency Management Performance Grant, did I just do that one? Item 40, oh, 50, oh, Lord. Item S, Parish President, Department Heads, Directors, and Managers' Reports, Presentations, and/or Updates. Number 51, Department of Public Works Representative to present a report, Mr. Barone.
Thank you, sir. Start with the October presentation. As always with the Thibodeau Field Office, Bentley Drive.
Hey, come over here and talk. Oh.
I wish. Yes, sir. Mic works.
You want to just take some questions?
I can run through the presentation. It's up to y'all.
Do the last page where you talk about what's coming up, and then we'll take questions. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll email the presentation. You will see in here all the work we've done. Additionally, there is a slide that shows the projects by district for the maintenance contractor. Like Mr. Lorraine requested last meeting, it gives a number of projects in each district as well as a cost spent for the maintenance contractor in each district. That is going to be from inception in November of 2020 until October of 2022. Just a real quick recap. Well, you'll see all of that in the report. And with that, I'll entertain any questions. But
Any
I'll
questions
send
for
the report.
Mr. Baroni?
Quick question.
Go ahead, Mr. Lorraine.
On the West 137, turn off LA 1 in, you got a catch basin on the east side. I turned it into work on. Is this legal? The Cynthia Big one had but it.
Hold on, Mr. Lorraine.
Just want to make sure there's no top to it.
These minutes are not being recorded. I'm just making sure.
Yep, I'm good.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Baroni, you can answer.
I did not get that work request in yet, but I'll look at it and we'll address it.
Yeah, well, I sent it on 9/30/22.
Okay, it just probably hasn't made it from all over yet. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Lorraine. Ms. Houghton.
Yeah, gentlemen, I'm just curious to know with the Entergy lights that we had pre-storm versus post-storm, and the ones that we're gonna follow up to make sure if we're paying for them, we're not paying for them. Because right now, I can tell you, there's still a lot of lights that's out, and my specific concern is Highway 308, where I don't have a shoulder. And there's some areas like where the water plant runs, like almost from the Shell station, all the way to the town of Lockport, where there's no lights. So I'm just wondering if we have somebody that's still following up and making sure that we're getting the lights that need to be up, back up.
Yes, we still get a few that trickle in here and there, but Mark does have a lot of work orders out to Energy. So I'll follow up with him and make sure, but yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Houghton. Mr. Arabi.
When you give your report, like you normally do, when you put all the different projects you're working on, can you give us a list of what those projects are? You just said 7 projects, 13 projects, whatever.
Certainly.
But we don't know what.
Yeah, it's all stuff y'all would have voted on, but yeah, I do have a working list.
Thank you, Mr. Arabi. Mr. Melvin.
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. Real quick, at 168, 169 Constant Drive, I've been reported to sanitation and everything. I know that I sent maybe 1 or 2 requests. There is a pile of plank wood and some debris there, been there for a while. The other one is a request, and I don't know how this works, so I'm asking. You remember how we went and looked back at Parkside, the guy's ditch behind his house, he wants it cleaned up or straightened out. Well, a couple of neighbors down at 615, he does not want his ditch sprayed. I don't know if you got a spray wheels, you don't, I don't know what the catch is, I'm just telling you what the constituent requested. Also, I know, emailed Archie, he responded, the failure of the cement wall with the rocks on Parkside Drive, do you have an update on that?
We will look at it this week. We're gonna just keep piling rocks into it, and hopefully it stops failing. What's happening is all of the roots and the stuff from the trees are rotten, and as they rot, it's creating void. So we're just gonna do our best to keep filling it.
And 2 more things real quick.
Can you give an address on Constant Drive again?
Sure, that is 168 and 169. Okay, and on Parkside it's 615 about the spray. And real quick, I don't know if Triple Birch or what's happening. You know, they're supposed to make a pass and within a couple of 2 to 3 weeks. It used to be 2 weeks. Now it goes on months where they see small piles, but they don't pick it up. I mean, something I could fit in a trailer or back of a truck is kind of crowded, but they're not picking it up. I just don't know what the problem is.
I know it got up to 6 weeks. I'll follow up and see where you see it at.
Everywhere.
Okay.
Like, okay, the country club, but I mean, my neighbors across the street, across the boulevard, my yard, I mean, just all over the place.
Yeah, I'll follow up. I contacted her over.
As far as energy, I did tie in, Dr. Craig Green, the commissioner on this, but it seems like they initially told us by end of March 2022, then they extended to the end of the second quarter, which is the end of June. And look, I don't want to be the first person to have lights in the street, but I still got 3 lights out, and I reported like probably over 20 lights out, just in the country club alone, not to mention one on David Drive. But I mean, you know, to me, it's just such a monopoly they have on us. What's their rush to want to fix it? We need some competition in this state, okay? That's my opinion, but I mean, proof's in the pudding. What's their rush? They get paid, right? So I don't know how we go by putting heat on, but again, it's a monopoly mentality. It's corporate welfare. When their CEO gets a $4 million raise on top of what he's making, and we still have lights out, right? I mean, I'm just looking at numbers. Lights versus just sound. He's gone. He's gone. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Melvin. Anyone on this side?
Real back to Mr. Arabi. One reason I don't put those projects in is because a lot of the engineers report on them prior to me, so I just don't want to be redundant, but we can certainly do that.
Or he emailed to me, that's all.
That's fine, I can do that.
Anyone on this side?
You want me to try to look at this real quick?
Yeah, let's do this.
Okay, this is the first slide, Thibodeau Field Office. Outfall, swept outfall. Talbot Extension, temporarily repaired a road base failure. Moving to the Choctaw Field Office, Mars Street, clean culverts. Rumpelpon North Levee, clean Barrow Canal. Moving to Bayou Blue Field Office, Parkwood Drive, swept roadside ditches. Babin Street, swept roadside ditches. Burma Road, swept roadside ditches. Swept. It's all title. Lafourche Bypass Bridge, repaired approach. Navarro Drive, swept roadside ditches. Moving to Raceland Field Office, this is Mill Street at the entrance to the sugar mill, repaired road base failure. Myrtle Drive outfall, swept outfall. St. Charles Bypass Road outfall, swept outfall. 40 Arpin Canal between Highway 652 and Highway 90, swept outfall. This is an ongoing project we have in conjunction with North Lafourche. Lockport Field Office is the Daily Bro outfall. We swept a small portion of that outfall. This is a conjunctive project between Lockport and Raceland Field Office. This is Louisiana Street at Highway 182, clean culverts. Also another project between Lockport and Raceland, the Myrtle Drive, spread spoils. The Lockport Field Office, this is the Tourist Information Center, cleaned and graded parking area. Barker Road, swept roadside ditches. John Abear outfall, replaced fence. This was a fence that we had to remove. The resident was agreeable to allow us to go in his pasture and remove material from that ditch so we can get that area draining. That was the area that had 3 to 4 to 5 feet of mud in that subdivision, and this outfall was crucial to getting that stuff out of there. So like I said, this resident allowed us to go in there with the agreement that we would replace his fence, and thank God he was patient enough to do that. This is behind Buchanan Street. Oh, we lost it. Oh, we're back. I'm gonna run through it quick. Galliana Field Office, West Avenue C, replaced collapsed driveway culvert. East 25th Place, installed driveway culvert. West 97th Street, swept roadside ditches. We almost there. As far as the maintenance contractor, Highland Drive at 8th Street, repaired road base failure. Highland Drive at 14th Street, repaired road base failure. This is East 60th Street, repaired road base failure. Blue Ridge Drive is concrete road panel repairs. Mill Street, road base failure repair. And these are the maintenance contractor cost estimates and, not cost estimates, actual costs and projects. See District 1, we had 7 projects at around, I can do it real quick, at $145,000. District 2, 8 projects at about $106,000. District 3, 4 projects at $62,000. District 4, 8 projects at about $506,000. District 5, 11 projects at around $208,000. District 6, 24 projects at about $590,000. District 7, 10 projects at about 215,000. District 8, 11 projects at 242,000. And District 9, 11 projects at 159,000, give or take. This does include everything that the maintenance contractor did, with the exception of Hurricane Ida related tasks. This includes recreation, roads, drainage, a number of items. Moving on to Department of Public Works, the September work that was completed, there were 2 permanent servitude agreements, 1 servitude was dededicated, 1 major subdivision inspection, and 6 property redivision reviews. 1 major subdivision review, there were 17 culvert permits issued and 0 fence permits. I'm trying to rush, I'm sorry. 173 online worker requests were received, 66 permits were reviewed for compliance. There are currently 18 projects in design phase, 13 projects under construction, 1 project out for bid. And if there's any questions on the presentation, I'll take those.
Any questions?
18 and 13? Okay.
That's it? All right, thank you, Mr. Baroni.
Thank you.
Item U, Parish President's final comments. Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a couple of quick things. One, as you noted, Mr. Chairman, we are still collecting items through the end of the week for our friends over in Florida. We are going to make a run with the Sheriff's Office and some of our local fire districts, probably around the 26th or 27th to deliver all that stuff. It looks like we're going to have a huge box trailer to bring over there. I want to publicly thank Mr. Sandy Arabi, who's going to let us borrow a 53-foot trailer to haul all that stuff in. We have everything from water to diapers to cleaning supplies. Bless Your Heart was involved, our district attorney, Fire District 3, and all of the people across Lafourche Parish. So I appreciate that a whole lot. As I noted earlier, there was a press release released today about a $29.8 million expansion of the John Deere facility in Thibodaux. I really want to thank Mike Duplantis, who's their manager, and Deere Corp itself. We're talking about 70 new jobs at about $47,000 a year. The 284 existing jobs are going to remain there, and LED expects about 110 indirect jobs to be created as they start to develop a new medium chassis cotton harvesting device that is going to go across the country and the world, right here again from Lafourche Parish. A lot of you have seen and gotten calls, I'm sure, about the road work on Highway 308 and the traffic cluster that it's causing in Raceland. I know Mr. Arabi is intimately aware about it. We've talked to it about it a lot. DOT was out there and has corrected the issue with the light, so hopefully it cycles a little bit better. We've talked to DOT, weather dependent, what happens with this cold front Wednesday and Thursday. They should be finished paving on Friday. They do expect some closures over the weekend to deal with some ancillary drainage issues, but hopefully that work is coming to an end and all the 308 lovers can get back on 308 and quit clogging up LA1. Councilman Otan earlier noted the work going on at Lockport Community Center. I'm pleased to announce that the parish was awarded a $662,000 Land and Water Conservation Fund grant that is going to go to extend a couple of baseball fields, a couple of soccer and Bantam football fields, as well as a nice pond for that facility. So we're going to be doing a whole bunch of stuff there. And just so you know, Mr. Arabi, as part of the $590,000 of work that was done through the maintenance contract, $90,000 of that is the Blanchard ditch. So we hope to see that going under construction here pretty soon. We issued a PO for them last week. I know that was a priority for you, so I wanted to note it. With that, thank you, Mr. Chairman. God bless you.
Thank you. I skipped over T. Anybody have any questions for the administration? Everybody's good? All right, we will move into item V, adjournment on a motion by Mr. Jones, second by Mrs. Chasson, that with no further business, the Lafourche Parish Council regular meeting of October 11th, 2022 be adjourned at 7:32. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes with 8 yeas, 0 nays, 1 absence being Mr. Grove.